I know what you're thinking. Jim, aren't we supposed to work together? Isn't teamwork important? And you're absolutely right. Teamwork is vital in many aspects of life. But today I want to challenge you to think differently. I want you to consider the power of doing it alone. You see, in this world of constant connectivity, of social media and instant messaging, we've forgotten something fundamental, the strength from within. We've forgotten how to rely on ourselves, how to push through challenges without always leaning on others. And that, my friends, is what we're going to explore today. Let me tell you a story. When I was a young man, just starting out, I had dreams. Big dreams. Dreams of success, of making a difference, of living an extraordinary life. But you know what? I didn't have much else. I didn't have connections. I didn't have a fancy education. I didn't have money. What I had was myself, my determination, and my willingness to do whatever it took to succeed. And let me tell you, there were many nights when I sat alone working on my goals while others were out having fun. There were days when I doubted myself, when I wondered if I was on the right path. But I kept going. I kept pushing. I did it alone. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should become a hermit or cut yourself off from the world. That's not what do it alone means. What I'm talking about is developing the mental strength, the emotional resilience, and the self-reliance to pursue your goals without constantly seeking approval or support from others. Think about it. How many times have you had a great idea, a dream you wanted to pursue, only to have someone tell you it's impossible? How many times have you let the opinions of others hold you back? That's why doing it alone is so powerful. When you learn to rely on yourself, you become unstoppable. Let's break this down. When you do it alone, you develop several crucial qualities. Self-reliance, you learn to trust your own judgment and abilities. Resilience, you become tougher, able to weather storms that would break others. Creativity, with others to lean on, you're forced to find innovative solutions to problems. Focus, you're not distracted by the noise and opinions of others. Personal responsibility. There's no one else to blame. You own your successes and your failures. Now I can see some of you shifting uncomfortably in your seats. Jim, you're thinking, this sounds lonely. This sounds hard. And you're right. It is hard. But let me ask you this. What great achievement in history was ever easy? Did Thomas Edison invent the light bulb by committee? No. He worked tirelessly, often alone, failing thousands of times before he succeeded. Did Martin Luther King Jr. wait for everyone to agree with him before he fought for civil rights? No, he stood up often alone in the face of overwhelming opposition. You see, doing it alone doesn't mean you don't have support or that you never work with others. It means you have the courage to stand by your convictions, to pursue your dreams even when no one else believes in them. It means you're willing to put in the work day after day, even when no one is watching or cheering you on. Let me give you an example from my own life. When I first started in personal development, I had a vision. I wanted to help people transform their lives to reach their full potential. But you know what? Not everyone understood that vision. I had friends who thought I was crazy. I had family members who worried I was throwing away a stable career for a pipe dream. But I believed in what I was doing. I believed in the message I had to share. So I did it alone. I wrote my speeches alone. I practiced delivering them alone. I traveled to small venues, sometimes speaking to nearly empty rooms. But I kept going. I kept refining my message, improving my skills, and believing in my vision. And you know what happened? Slowly but surely, people started to listen. The room started to fill up. Lives began to change. But none of that would have happened if I had waited for everyone to approve, if I had needed constant support and validation from others. Now, I want you to think about your own life. What dreams have you put on hold because others didn't believe in them? What goals have you abandoned because the path seemed too lonely? What could you achieve if you were willing to do it alone? I'll tell you this, the willingness to do it alone is what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. It's what turns dreamers into achievers. It's what transforms average lives into legendary ones. But here's the thing, doing it alone isn't just about achieving success. It's about personal growth. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. When you learn to do it alone, you discover strengths you never knew you had. You uncover talents that have been dormant. You tap into a well of creativity and resilience that will serve you in every area of your life. Think about the most successful people you know or have heard of. I'm willing to bet that at some point in their journey, they had to do it alone. They had to believe in themselves when no one else did. They had to work when no one was watching. They had to persevere when everyone else had given up. That's the power of doing it alone. It's not about isolation, it's about independence. It's about having the courage to stand by your convictions, to pursue your dreams with single-minded focus and determination. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, but Jim, what about teamwork? What about collaboration? And those are excellent questions. Remember, doing it alone doesn't mean you not work with others. It means you're capable of working alone when necessary. It means you don't depend on others for your motivation, your drive, and your sense of self-worth. In fact, when you learn to do it alone, you become a much more valuable team member. Why? Because you bring strength to the team. You bring independence. You bring resilience. You're not looking to the team to prop you up or to give you direction. Instead, you're there to contribute, to add value, to push the entire team forward. Let's talk about another aspect of doing it alone, decision making. When you learn to do it alone, you become much better at making decisions. Why? Because you're not constantly seeking the approval of others. You're not paralyzed by the fear of what others might think. Instead, you trust your own judgment. You weigh the pros and cons, you consider the consequences, and then you act. This ability to make decisions independently is crucial in both your personal and professional lives. In business, opportunities often come with a limited window. If you're always waiting for consensus, always looking for approval, you'll miss out. The person who can assess a situation quickly and make a decision independently is the one who succeeds. But it's not just about business. In your personal life, the ability to make independent decisions is equally important. It's about choosing the life you want to live, not the life others expect you to live. It's about having the courage to follow your own path, even when it diverges from the norm. I remember a time early in my career when I had to make a crucial decision. I had the opportunity of my steady job and pursue speaking full-time. It was risky, it was scary. And almost everyone I knew advised against it. They told me to play it safe, to steady passol. But deep down, I knew what I wanted to do, where my passion lay. So I did it alone. I made the decision to leap into the unknown. And you know what? It was one of the best decisions I ever made. It set me on the path to where I am today. Now, I'm not saying you should ignore all advice or never consult others. Wisdom often comes from listening to those with more experience. But what I am saying is that ultimately, the decision has to be yours. You have to be willing to stand by it, to own it, to do it alone. Let's talk about another crucial aspect of doing it alone, self-discipline. When you're working in a team or under close supervision, it's easy to stay on track. There's external pressure, expectations from others that keep you going. But when you're alone, that's when your true level of self-discipline shows. Can you stick to your goals when no one is watching? Can you push yourself to work when you don't feel like it? Can you resist distractions and stay focused on what's important? These are the challenges of doing it alone, and they're also the opportunities for tremendous personal growth. Developing self-discipline is like building a muscle. It's uncomfortable at first. It's challenging. There will be days when you fail, when you give in to procrastination or distraction. But if you keep at it, if you keep pushing yourself to do it alone, that muscle of self-discipline will grow stronger and stronger. And let me tell you, self-discipline is one of the most valuable skills you can develop. It's the foundation of success in every area of life. Whether you want to build a business, improve your health, learn a new skill, or achieve any other goal, self-discipline is the key. When you can do it alone, when you can push yourself without needing external motivation, you become unstoppable. You're no longer at the mercy of your moods or your circumstances. You do what needs to be done, regardless of how you feel in the moment. This level of self-discipline, this ability to do it alone, sets you apart from the crowd. While others are waiting for the perfect conditions, for motivation to strike, for someone to push them, you're out there making things happen. You're turning your dreams into reality, one disciplined action at a time. Now I want to address something important. Doing it alone doesn't mean you have to do everything alone. It doesn't mean you should never ask for help or collaborate with others. What it means is that you're capable of standing on your own 2 feet. You're not dependent on others for your success or happiness. Think of it like this: doing it alone is about being self-sufficient, not isolated. It's about being able to generate your own motivation, to solve your own problems, to pick yourself up when you fall. But it's also about knowing when to reach out, when to learn from others, when to collaborate for mutual benefit. The person who can do it alone is paradoxically often the best team player. Why? Because they come from a place of strength, not neediness. They contribute more than they take. They inspire others with their independence and resilience. Let's talk about another crucial aspect of doing alone. Continuous learning. When you're willing to do alone, you take full responsibility for your own growth and development. You don't wait for others to teach you or for opportunities to fall into your lap. Instead, you actively seek out knowledge and experiences that will help you grow. In today's world, there's no excuse for not learning. We have access to more information than ever before. Books, online courses, podcasts, seminars, the opportunities for learning are endless. But here's the thing, no one can force you to learn. No one can make you grow. That decision, that commitment, has to come from within. It's something you have to do alone. I've always been a voracious reader. I believe that the person you'll be 5 years from now depends largely on two things: the people you associate with and the books you read. But reading, studying, learning, these are solitary activities. You have to be willing to invest time in yourself, to sit alone with a book or a course to wrestle with new ideas and challenging concepts. This commitment to continuous learning, this willingness to do it alone, is what separates the successful from the average. While others are content with what they already know, while they're busy entertaining themselves or wasting time, the achiever is always learning. They're always growing, always pushing themselves to new levels of understanding and capability. And here's the beautiful thing about learning. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is to learn. It's a never-ending journey of growth and discovery. But it's a journey you have to be willing to embark on alone. No one can do the learning for you. No one can grow for you. It's a personal responsibility, a solitary endeavor. Now let's talk about another crucial aspect of doing it alone, facing your fears. When you're always surrounded by others, it's easy to avoid confronting your fears. You can hide behind the group, let others take the lead, avoid situations that make you uncomfortable. But when you're willing to do it alone, you have to face your fears head on. This might mean speaking in public when the thought terrifies you. It might mean starting a business when you're afraid of failure. It might mean pursuing a dream that others think is foolish or impossible. Whatever your fears are, doing it alone forces you to confront them. And here's the thing about fear, it's often a signpost pointing towards growth. The things we fear are often the very things we need to do to reach our full potential. By being willing to do it alone, by facing your fears without the crutch of constant support or approval from others, you grow in ways you never thought possible. I remember the first time I stood on stage to deliver a speech. I was terrified. My hands were shaking, my mouth was dry, and I was sure I was going to fail miserably. But I did it alone. I pushed through the fear, delivered my message, and you know what? It wasn't perfect, but I survived. And each time after that, it got a little easier, a little better. That's the power of facing your fears alone. You discover that you're stronger than you thought. You realize that the worst case scenario is rarely as bad as you imagine. And most importantly, you grow. You become more confident, more resilient, more capable. Now let's talk about creativity. When you're willing to do it alone, you tap into a wellspring of creativity that you might never have known existed. Why? Because true creativity often requires solitude. It requires the ability to hear your own thoughts, to follow your own unique path of ideas and association. When you're always surrounded by others, always seeking input and approval, it's easy to fall into groupthink. Your ideas become a blend of what everyone else thinks rather than something truly original. But when you're willing to do it alone, to sit with your own thoughts and ideas, that's when true creativity can flourish. Think about some of the most creative people in history, artists, inventors, entrepreneurs. Many of them had periods of solitude, at times when they worked alone, following their own vision, even when others didn't understand or approve. That willingness to do it alone, to trust their own creative instincts, is what led to their groundbreaking work. But creativity isn't just for artists or inventors. In today's rapidly changing world, creativity is a crucial skill in every field. The ability to come up with innovative solutions, to think outside the box, to see connections that others miss, these are invaluable in business, in personal relationships, in every aspect of life. And here's the thing, creativity is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. By being willing to do it alone, to rely on your own creative resources rather than always looking to others, you strengthen that creativity muscle. You become more innovative, more original in your thinking. Now let's talk about resilience. When you learn to do it alone, you develop a level of resilience that will serve you well throughout your life. Why? Because you're not dependent on others for your emotional well-being or your ability to bounce back from setbacks. Life is full of challenges. There will be times when you fail, when things don't go as planned, when you face disappointment or loss. In those moments, if you're always relying on others for support and encouragement, you're in a vulnerable position. But if you've learned to do it alone, if you've developed that inner strength and resilience, it can weather any storm. This doesn't mean you never seek support from others. It doesn't mean you have to be stoic or unemotional. What it means is that you have the inner resources to pick yourself up, to keep going, to find solutions even when things look bleak. I've faced my share of setbacks and challenges in life. There were times when I felt like giving up, when the obstacles seemed insurmountable. But because I had learned to do it alone, because I had developed that resilience, I was able to keep going. I was able to find solutions, to adapt, to persevere. And here's the thing about resilience, it's not about avoiding failure or never feeling down. It's about how quickly you can bounce back. It's about your ability to learn from setbacks, to use them as fuel for growth rather than letting them defeat you. When you can do this alone without needing constant reassurance or support from others, you become truly unstoppable. Now let's talk about vision. When you're willing to do it alone, you can hold on to your vision even when others don't see it or understand it. This is crucial because every great achievement starts with a vision, a clear picture of what you want to create or achieve. But here's the thing about vision, it's personal. It's something that you see in your mind's eye, something that inspires and drives you. And often, especially in the beginning, you may be the only one who can see it. Others might not understand. They might think you're crazy or unrealistic. They might try to talk you out of it. This is where the ability to do it alone becomes so important. When you can hold on to your vision, when you can work towards it day after day even when no one else believes in it, that's when you have the potential to create something truly extraordinary. Think about some of the greatest visionaries in history. People like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, or Martin Luther King Jr. They all had visions that seemed impossible or crazy to many people at first, but they held on to those visions. They worked towards them tirelessly, often alone, until they were able to make them a reality. And here's an important point. Holding on to your vision doesn't mean being inflexible or ignoring reality. It means having the courage to pursue what you believe in, to keep working and adapting and learning until you can bring that vision into reality. When you can do this alone, when you don't need constant validation or approval from others, you free yourself to pursue truly big dreams. You give yourself permission to think beyond the conventional, to imagine possibilities that others might miss. Now let's talk about personal responsibility. When you're willing to do it alone, you take full responsibility for your life and your choices. This is both empowering and challenging. It's empowering because you recognize that you have control over your life. It's challenging because you can't blame others for your failures or shortcomings. Taking personal responsibility means owning your mistakes. It means acknowledging when you've fallen short and being willing to learn and grow from those experiences. It means not making excuses or looking for scapegoats when things don't go as planned. But it also means owning your successes. When you do it alone, when you take full responsibility for your life, you can take pride in your achievements. You know that your success is the result of your own efforts, your own perseverance, your own willingness to do what others won't. This level of personal responsibility is liberating. It frees you from the victim mentality that holds so many people back. Instead of feeling at the mercy of circumstances or other people, you recognize that you have the power to shape your own life. And here's the thing, when you take full responsibility for your life, you become much more proactive. Instead of waiting for things to happen, you make them happen. Instead of reacting to circumstances, you create the circumstances you want. Now, I want to address something that might be on your mind. Some of you might be thinking, Jim, this all sounds great, but isn't it lonely? Don't we need connections with others? And you're absolutely right. Humans are social creatures. We do need connections, relationships, community. But here's the paradox. When you learn to do it alone, when you develop that inner strength and self-reliance, you actually become capable of forming deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Why? Because you're coming from a place of strength, not neediness. You're not looking for others to complete you or to solve your problems. Instead, you're looking to share, to contribute, to grow together. Think about it this way. The strongest relationships are formed between two independent individuals who choose to share their lives, not two needy people who cling to each other out of fear or insecurity. When you can do it alone, you bring more to your relationships. You bring resilience, creativity, personal responsibility. You bring a strong sense of self and a clear vision for your life. These qualities make you a better friend, a better partner, a better colleague. And here's another benefit: when you can do it alone, you can be more selective about the people you allow into your life. You're not desperate for approval or acceptance. You can choose to surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you to grow, who share your values and support your dreams. So no, doing it alone doesn't mean living a life of isolation. It means developing the inner strength and self-reliance that allow you to form healthier, more meaningful connections with others. Now, as we start to wrap up our time together, I want to challenge each of you. I want you to think about an area of your life where you've been hesitant to act alone. Maybe it's a dream you've been afraid to pursue. Maybe it's a decision you've been afraid to make. Maybe it's a fear you've been avoiding facing. Whatever it is, I want you to commit to taking action. Commit to doing it alone. Not because you have to, but because you choose to, because you recognize the strength, the growth, the potential that comes from being willing to stand on your own 2 feet. Remember, doing it alone doesn't mean you never seek advice or support. It doesn't mean you cut yourself off from others. What it means is that you take full responsibility for your life. You develop the inner resources to pursue your dreams, to face your fears, to pick yourself up when you fall. As you leave here today, I want you to carry this message with you. You are stronger than you know. You are more capable than you realize. You have within you everything you need to create an extraordinary life. But to access that strength, to reach your full potential, you have to be willing to do it alone. Be willing to work when no one is watching. Be willing to believe in your dreams even when others don't understand. Be willing to face your fears, to make tough decisions, to take full responsibility for your life. And as you do this, as you develop this ability to do it alone, I promise you something amazing will happen. You'll discover a level of confidence, of resilience, of personal power that you never knew you had. You'll find yourself achieving things you once thought were impossible. More than that, you'll inspire others. Your willingness to do it alone, to stand by your convictions, to pursue your dreams with passion and determination. This will inspire those around you. You'll become a leader, not by title or position, but by example. So go forth from here with courage. Embrace the challenge and the opportunity of doing it alone. Trust in your own strength, your own wisdom, your own potential. And remember, every great achievement, every extraordinary life begins with one person who is willing to do it alone. Thank you for your time and attention today. Now go out there and show the world what you're capable of. Do it alone and watch as you transform not just your own life, but the lives of those around you. The world is waiting for what you have to offer. Don't keep it waiting any longer. Thank you and God bless.